Look at the streets of Budapest, hundreds of thousands of people flooding the banks of the Danube. It feels like an entire country letting out a massive collective exhale after holding its breath for 16 years. Over in Brussels, the reaction was immediate. Ursula von der Leyen sent virtual hugs, and Keir Starmer declared it a historic moment that rescued European democracy itself. But veteran journalist He Pin sees something else. After decades in this industry, he's developed a specific muscle memory. Whenever Western media universally cheers an election result, there is almost certainly a structural reality they are choosing to ignore. Throwing a new political lever rarely results in immediate clarity. The machinery of a state often creates more friction than light, especially when the wiring has been compromised for over a decade. Péter Magyar is a career insider, a man hand-selected and trained by the very elite he eventually betrayed. He is a product of the system he just dismantled. For 16 years, Orbán systematically dismantled the state's architecture. He redesigned electoral maps, absorbed the media, and turned the judiciary into a private enforcement tool. Péter Magyar grew up with Orbán's coasters on his bedroom wall. Orbán brought him into the inner circle, cultivating him as a loyal protege. Magyar breathed the air of the regime. He was married to Orbán's justice minister. He knows how it sustains itself, how it hides its money, and how it punishes enemies. This is a textbook disciple's coup. An assassin can only strike with such precision by spending years learning exactly where the system's vulnerabilities are buried. Leaked audio recordings of Magyar's own ex-wife served as the primary catalyst for the regime's collapse. By weaponizing internal secrets, he bypassed the need for a traditional policy platform and struck the administration at its most paranoid point. This chart shows the layout of Hungary's 199-seat parliament. In a single election, Magyar's new party captured 138 of those seats. Notice what crossing that specific line means. Securing over 2/3 of the parliament hands Magyar the absolute authority to rewrite the Hungarian constitution single-handedly. But this exact strategy hides a fatal flaw. When you build your entire mandate on the public's blind rage toward your former boss, you create an enormous appetite. You cannot feed that appetite with anger alone once you actually have to govern. So the street parties eventually end. The euphoria fades. And as the sun comes up over the Danube, the new prime minister has to sit at a desk built on completely hollowed-out institutions. A landslide victory doesn't automatically print extra zeros on a paycheck. It doesn't instantly halt inflation. And it certainly doesn't purify a roster of judges appointed by the previous regime. Then there is the foreign policy reality. Is Magyar really going to shut down the massive electric vehicle factories funded by Beijing simply to score points with European leadership? This diagram illustrates the geopolitical steel wire the administration is trapped on. They are forced to constantly balance the heavy financial demands of Brussels, the looming shadow of Moscow, and the deep pockets of Beijing. Still, as He Pin notes, sometimes people need that temporary release. Sometimes a nation needs the brief, blinding hope found at the bottom of a celebratory glass of beer. Hungary remains suspended between the economic pull of European integration and a deep insistence on absolute sovereignty. The faces in the cabinet have changed, but the fundamental friction of the nation remains.